literally have a go at using AI, create your own apps, see where it goes. Don't worry if it breaks, doesn't matter at the end of the day. You're still trialing it out, and just have fun and create apps that are going to hopefully help you in the future with your SEO workflow. I'm Jonathon Roberts, and this is SEO in 2025 Additional Insights.
Jonathon, what's your additional insight for SEO in 2025?
My tip is to create custom web apps for SEO to help you improve your SEO workflows in general.
Okay, so what are bespoke web apps that can automate SEO workflows?
So I've been recently looking into how you can use web apps, such as creating a web app for your websites using AI to create the app for you, and then using that. So for example, you can do it to create schema generators, validating schema that you might, or suggesting new schema that might be relevant for a specific page. Also, I've looked at using it to automate technical audits as well. It's a bit like Screaming Frog platform, but not as advanced, but would be able to export it into a CSV or a spreadsheet to help us speed up our technical SEO workflows in our agency. So yeah.
Right, okay, well, we'll dive into what technology you use to actually get that done. But are you saying that we can't really rely on standardised SEO platforms, or are you just saying that that's maybe a more cost-effective way to do it, what you're recommending?
I still definitely 100% recommend of pre-built apps like Ahrefs, Screaming Frog. It's just that sometimes for us, it's just easier to have a custom web app that allows us to then have like, for example, when we do a tech audit, we want it in a specific format. Of course, when we do that, it makes it a little harder using platforms because we have to export it and then change it into a specific format. So with the apps that I've been creating, I've been trying to build them so that when you export them, for example, into a Google Sheet, it's in the format that we want it exactly from when we want to then continue with it, instead of us having to mess around with like how formatting it and everything. So I still 100% recommend still using apps like Screaming Frog or Ahrefs or SEMrush. But yeah, that's why we've looked at doing that internally, to make it a bit easier for us and just to save a little bit of time on not having to format different audits or whatever. So yeah.
Okay, so you're creating these AI-powered apps, and then you're taking the data into Google Sheets. So are you using Google Sheets as the hub, the center point for your data, and then maybe taking this data and displaying it in various dashboards from there?
Yeah, so yeah, definitely, yeah. So we can use, for example, so we're importing it. I'm still looking into how to actually get it imported directly into Google Sheets, because at the moment I've got it exporting, for example, as a CSV or something like that, and then importing it straight into Google Sheets to then manipulate it. So yeah, we can do that, and then look at using tools like Google Looker Studio to then import the data and visualize it a little more easier for the client. We've got a lot of clients that, of course, are not very technical. So when we do a tech audit, they're a bit like, ooh, this is what I'm not sure what this is actually talking about. So when we can visualize it and make it easier, then yeah, definitely, yeah.
So what tasks specifically are you looking to do this for?
So I've done it for, at the moment, I've been building it out for tech audits, for us actually doing internal tech audits. Of course, we'll still do manual checking of multiple things because, of course, machines can't do everything that we can check for technical SEO. So I've been building that out at the moment, which is what I'm actually supposed to be talking at Brighton in now April. And also I've been trying out an app that can put a specific URL or a group of URLs in that then suggests what relevant schema. I'm still having to play around with it at the moment because it's not 100% Google proof, because, for example, we've got a pharmacy client. So I know what schema specifically I want to put on the thing, but it's not currently telling me, suggesting, for example, medical schema and stuff like that. So I'm still tweaking it and trying to get it right. Really, with these things, it's a lot like, especially when we're using AI to build the tool, it doesn't specifically know exactly loads of the things that we want to checkpoint and test. So it's a lot of going back into with AI to then hopefully create the code that exactly we want to create. So I've been testing like tools like Bolt.new. I don't know if you've come across that, to build them out, as well as using a ChatGPT to then host it on a specific server that we've got now internally. So yeah, it's really, I'm still playing around with it, but is the great thing about it, because you can have a bit of a play around with it and see what you can actually create with it. And you're not limited to, for example, other tools that you use already, for example.
So focusing in on Schema, what's your workflow for that? So, I mean, are you taking content that already exists live on a web page, and then you're using your AI-powered app to actually generate schema for that and potentially take that schema and apply it directly to that web page? Or is it for content that exists elsewhere but hasn't been published yet?
So we do it at the moment, we're doing it for content that's actually is published on specific, for example, our clients' websites. And then what we're doing, I haven't actually looked at actually getting it implemented directly into the website yet, because at the moment what we use is Ramp Math and then import it using Ramp Math Schema tools and all that to then import it into the website. But that could be something that we look into in the future to then automate it and say, yes, I want this. What I have actually done be able to do is actually tell it, have a button on the actual app, for example, for the schema one, that allows it to then give the schema that it's suggested. And then if you click on the button, it then it literally opens ChatGPT and puts the prompt in, because I've worked out what the URL is that ChatGPT uses to then generate the response that you've put in. So I've been using that to then pull through. So for example, say it's a blog or something and we want to put blog post in schema, it'll literally, when the user clicks the button, it then goes into ChatGPT and loads it up and then puts that prompt in for you exactly. So for example, it might say, create blogs post schema for the URL, and then we're using ChatGPT then to generate the schema for us. Of course, it's not 100% foolproof at the moment with AI, but I think AI is going to get a lot more cleverer soon. That originally, when I first started using AI for schema generation and stuff like that, it wasn't doing it too well. But recently, I found that it seems to have stepped up another level, that it's actually getting a lot better at generating the schema now. It's still got, of course, a few issues with it. However, that's what we've been playing around with at the moment, trying to get it, and even just trying to get the prompt correct so that it does actually generate the correct schema straight away for us.
But it's just ChatGPT you're using. Have you tested other AI tools as well?
I haven't personally used, no, I haven't actually tested, I haven't at the moment, but I'm sure there must be ways to definitely, I need to have a look at like Gemini and stuff like that and see if there's any other AIs that we could technically use. But yeah, at the moment, we've primarily been using ChatGPT because internally we have got a pro license to ChatGPT. So in other words, that's why I'm using ChatGPT. But I'm sure there are other ways of using other AIs, for example, like Google Gemini, Google AI Studio and stuff like that to then use that. But I haven't actually looked into that yet.
Have you considered using a custom GPT as well?
No, I actually haven't. No, I've not thought about that. No.
I'm just wondering if that could be set up and just focused on doing schema, and obviously it becomes a specialist GPT at that particular task.
It's a good idea, yeah. We did do with the one that I've been using, for example, for generating the schema, I have been trying to trial out using the custom one, but it's to then give it suggestions based on the content. So for example, that AI is then getting the content to come, the URL that we're using, and then it's then suggesting the schema that's relevant instead of it using, for example, when we first started using the schema generator, it was doing it based on, for example, keywords that are in the content. And sometimes, of course, that's not the best way for it to do it. It was picking up weird things that just weren't relevant to the schema the page that we were doing. So I have actually started using, I can't think what the AI is that it started using. I can't remember the name of it at the moment. It might come to me in a bit, but I haven't done it specifically for it to go and click and then generate. So there's some AI a little bit in it, but not 100% yet. Really, at the moment, I'm just testing it out. I'm seeing how it goes, but I can see it's definitely getting somewhere that it will help a lot. I think it just takes a lot of time, of course.
You also talked about things like site audits and in-house reporting as well. So how does it help with both of those tasks?
So with the technical SEO, for example, audits, so what I've done is we've got our own internal technical SEO audit already, for example, in the spreadsheet. What I've done is given AI the list of what are actionables and what checks we do internally, and then told it if there's anything that you can't do, admit that, but tell me which ones they are so that I know exactly that I need to do them specifically manually myself. So I've been using that to then put a URL in, or for example, I have been trying it for getting it to specifically extract a full XML sitemap. So for example, if I've got a sitemap that I want to use, and just the URLs. For example, if I want to just audit, for example, blogs or something like that, I'm using the XML sitemap for the blog specifically, because most of our clients are on WordPress. We use Rank Math, so using the Rank Math sitemap for that, then extracting the data there and then pulling it through into the tool that we're using to then pull through or to pull actions from those URLs and then exporting them into a CSV and then into more to Google Sheets, for example.
Okay, and in terms of in-house reporting, how would you take the data and actually be able to utilize that in a user-friendly way and to create actionable insights from what you found?
I've been having a little look into looking at using Looker Studio to then pull through, for example, pulling the data through from the platforms into a Google Sheet, then using Google Sheet as the data source in Looker Studio to then visualize it. I'm still having a little test around with it, but I haven't got there just yet with Looker Studio. But it's trying to work out what, like you say, how we can actually visualize it and show it better to a client for them to better understand it. It's getting there, but it's still very early stages of that side of things. I'm still trying to work out the system to try and hopefully get it correct so it actually does pull through all the actionables that we want to audit, for example, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you also talk about integrating search engine APIs. So which APIs are you talking about there? What data do you actually get from doing that?
So back when did I speak? When was the last word I speak? I spoke in April at Brighton about using Google Search Console to then pull into Google Sheets, for example. We were talking about that at the time because we've a lot, of course, as Google's got a lot of APIs, the analytics, Search Console, different things like that. So I am still looking into that side of things. With Search Console, I'm looking at pulling data, for example. I've not worked out 100% how it works yet, but I'm trying to get the Google Search API, for example, to extract the 404 errors, for example, from a website and then putting them into the report that we're creating for technical SEO audits. I'm still playing around with it at the moment because originally I was looking at just using Google Sheets. So just using Google Sheets and then pulling the data from the APIs using Google Apps scripts originally, looking at pulling it in from the platform that we're using. So for example, in the AI platform, that app that I'm using, it's trying to work out how to put the APIs into it to then pull it through into the thing. So I've still got to test a lot of that stuff out, but it's definitely a thing that I'm hoping to then hopefully get it all in. For example, when I spoke at Brighton last year, I talked about automating content audits. At that time, I was using Google Sheets, but now with this new tool that I'm using, I could technically create an app for that would then just generate the content audits directly because we were pulling through for example, meta titles, descriptions, H1s, heading titles, modified dates of these blog, for example, missing queries that were not in the content from the queries from Google Search Console, pulled through a lot. So in other words, that's probably the next thing I'm going to look at is actually automating that specifically in an app that you just put in the URLs and it does it and generates the script for us for the client. So that'll be even quicker than the way that I taught in Brighton last year with using Google Sheets. So there's a lot of opportunities there. With AI, it's just making it so much easier to create them because I know a bit of HTML code, but I'm not an expert at it. I'm not a developer. At the end of the day, I'm technical SEO, but it's just playing around with it really and just seeing how it goes because AI is getting a lot cleverer now that it can just create these apps in no time now, and it's crazy.
At the beginning of our conversation, you talked about how you're still using conventional SEO platforms and you can't see that changing. But the more you talk about it, the more I think that more SEOs are going to be developing their own apps using AI in the future for their own bespoke needs and less likely to use conventional SEO platforms. Do you not think that's a path that we're going to go down in the future?
Yeah, it could be easily, yeah, because it's getting a lot more accessible in creating these custom apps, for example, that it is getting a lot more accessible to people.
Just using APIs from Majestic and other platforms, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's a shame, but I love using apps like Screaming Frog. Recently, we used to use SEMrush, we're now using Ahrefs internally. So it's a lot of that different things. It is a shame, but the thing is, at least with these things, they are more customizable for people to then create them, and it's saving more time, in other words. So it's quite accessible with AI now to then just create it straight away anyway. So yeah, I do think probably in the next few years, we might see a lot of less people using AI SEO tools and creating their own. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that maybe in very small businesses, you need some standardized platform just to get things done quickly, and you want to have an SEO expert that can actually create bespoke things. So I mean, is there a type of business that creating these sorts of apps that are powered by API that is most suitable for, or are we just talking about any business here?
I'd probably say more agency side, or companies with big marketing departments, for example, who are doing it internally, and they've got a lot of SEOs in the team. For example, they might be looking at tools like this. Like smaller companies, of course, when they haven't got the budget, they haven't got the manpower to then create apps like this and have the time of people building them. They're probably going to still use platforms like Ahrefs, SEMrush, things like that.
Jonathon, what's the key takeaway from the tip you shared today?
So my key takeaway from today is literally have a go at using AI, create your own apps, see where it goes. Don't worry if it breaks, doesn't matter at the end of the day. You're still trialing it out. Just have fun and create apps that are going to hopefully help you in the future with your SEO workflow.
Jonathon Roberts is the technical lead at Fly High Media. Find out more at flyhighmedia.co.uk. Jonathon, thanks so much for adding your additional insight to SEO in 2025.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
I've been your host, David Bain, and you've been listening to SEO in 2025 Additional Insights, a Majestic series that complements the original podcast, video series, and book. Find out more at SEOin2025.com.